I don't be here to hate. I got a plan for this plate. This is reality music. I'm doing janitor fake. City guns with the flow now. Tell them niggas with the joke now. I'm trying to pass it to the pros now. I ain't chilling with no clowns. I'm turning up bitch go down. That's leave, it's the whole thing. No, nigga, no, niggas like a man.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back. It's Tuesday on the Comfort Level Podcast. You know how we do. And we have been focusing on some good things, and doing some good things. Shaking and baking is what I call it. So it's Two Cent Tuesday, as you know. And those of you who have not been here, or just coming here, or I'm giving you a reminder, okay? So, we bring topics, we discuss and we disclose and make people aware of different things. We don't have degrees in any medical or physical care, and our care comes from within, so that we create a comfortable environment to educate people on the podcast, in the studio, and as well as the viewers. So we're textbook, you can say that, but we try to obtain reliable information from experts. And also, our disclaimer: the opinions and comments of our viewers as well as our experts are not necessarily the views of the Comfort Level Podcast or their guests. Your comments are deemed as our permission to include your name on our show. And I want to thank you guys for coming in. Come on in, because this is very interesting. Today we got something special. We have been doing our book reading and our author. We're going to read this book in two parts, today and Thursday, okay? The book is entitled Where I'm From, Past is History. And it's written by Supreem, the Rezareka. Some of you know him as JEMAL Carter. His real name, his government, okay? And he's one of Philadelphia's premier and most respected urban and hip-hop artists. He brings energy to a stage unlike no other as a solo artist, hype man, or front man. He is open for such acts as The Roots, Fat Joe, KRS-One, Luke, Dougie Fresh, Eve, Beanie Siegel, and the late Notorious Big. Happy birthday, Notorious Big. Today is your birthday. Supreem is dubbed the urban entertainer because of his ability to attract and entertain fans across the world, regardless of age or race. He covers many genres of music, from hip-hop, funk, rock, and R&B. Now we can add author. That's right, because of this book, thanks to this, thanks to these overwhelming obstacles, motivational, never say quit, inspirational autobiography right here. Where I'm From, Past is History. The story of a young Philadelphian MC using his gifts and purpose to chase his musical dreams. And his famous line, funk that. That's right. Funk that. That's his famous line. So come on in, come on in. We're gonna get into this book reading. So make sure you I gave you guys a chance to grab the book off of Amazon or Preem's website. And let's see who's here. What's up, Preem? Yeah, it's Big's birthday, right? Imagine that. Preem is in the building. All right. So let's go. That's right. So we're going to read half of the book. The book's not that long, y'all. So stay with me. It's interesting. All right. And see, I got my autograph copy. Y'all can't see that. Can you see that? Yes, you can. All right. All right. So we also like to read the book, the dedication. So this book is dedicated from Supreem to his aunt Jean Justice. So I'm going to read it just like he wrote it, okay? My aunt Jean Justice, my smart and beautiful daughters Olivia and Justice Carter, my daughter and cousins Octavia Justice, Latora Justice, and G baby Ayana Justice, my brother and sister Jason and Dana Carter, and to the loving memory of my mother, Loretta D. Justice, who always told me I was a writer, and my grandmother, Maddie Magna. I'm back. So, as I always told me, because I did move my camera, and if I'm juggling around, I probably got it loose. So let me give me 1 second. I apologize to the viewers coming in, giving y'all a chance to get on in here, see what we doing, what we talking about. Hey, I done touched it again. That's it. All right, it should be fine for the rest of the evening. It should be fine. It feels tight to me. Okay. So first things first, I need you to know that this book was written in 2004. What? And you probably didn't publish it until. Let me read it. Let me just read it. I ain't comment yet. No comment yet. I've really grown up and really matured in life, music, and God since then. I've lost my mother and had another child, Justice, since then. The way I felt in 2004 and the emotions that I put in this book was from the era of my life. I showed some anger, animosity, and hurt that have since been healed. A few broken relationships have been amended, and mutual respect and friendships have been formed since then. One in particular that I'm very proud of is the relationship between Funk Wizard Snow and myself. We actually met up at a show years ago, finally spoke like men face to face, apologized, forgave each other, and never looked back. Actually, since the day we buried the hatchet, both our lives took turns for the better. We both went on and continue to do amazing, inspiring things. And that's actually really, really important right now. Right now. There are also a few curse words in the book that I decided to leave in and not change. When I wrote this book, I poured my heart and soul into it. And I think you will feel how I felt in 2004, describing my early years trying to break into the music business from Philadelphia. And since then, I've done some incredible things and worked with some amazing people in the business, from being a part of two awesome bands, Simple and Supreme, and the Rezareka, to forming my own Supreme and the New Experience. Through each band, I put out some great music and released several albums. I played with some incredible musicians and worked with some of the best producers in the world. Also, being in the hand and being in the bands and as a solo artist, I played some of the best clubs and venues around the country. Thanks to great music conferences such as the Philadelphia Music Conference, PMC, the Independent Music Conference, IMC, the Dewey Beach Music Fest, I met and connected with some serious players in the music business that led me to do some amazing things and to go awesome heights in this business. I finally linked up with official managers such as Joey Mahoney, Jim Thorpe, and Kevin Frank of Silvertide that led to official bookings and business. I met great business connects that I still work with to this day, such as Rob Schwartz of UMAG Distribution, Brian Cronin of Mirror Image Duplication, booking agents Vince Waltz of DVT Entertainment, and Derek Dorsey, whom I also work with at the PMC. I was even signed to and recorded under a few independent record labels such as Horizon Music Group out of Connecticut and Vic Stevens and Flexitone Records. Under Flexitone Records, I got to record with the Grammy-nominated producer and label owner David Ivory, which led me to work with some amazing musicians such as drummers Chuck Treese, and my current business manager and partner, Richard Waller III. Wow. Also through David Ivory, I got to meet and work with the legendary singer Bunny Sigler of Philadelphia International Records before he passed away. Wow. Wow. I'm wow already. I ain't even read through, I'm on the third page. This is crazy. And one of the most important people to my current career, a young underground hip hop artist named Whitney Payton. Through Whitney, I got to work with a dope producer named, is it AMAC or AMAC, to record and release my second solo project, Shades. Since my 2002 solo debut album, Breathe. Thanks to a song on Shades called Gimme, which is a collaboration with me and Whitney Payton. She took me on several national tours with her for 3 years straight, where she headlined and opened up for acts such as Insane Clown Posse, Cottonmouth Kings, Frontzilla, the Band Attila, Jelly Roll, Tech Nine, Cut Calhoun, to name a few. All this while simultaneously holding it down and touring with my own crew, 144,000 Chosen Few, with my partner, Wu-Tang Clan affiliate Judah Priest, and my man, Big Tal, both of whom I met and got cool with during the time I started touring as a solo artist, Supreme, the Rezareka, with my homie that I grew up with from Pembroke named Bruce in 2013. So, from 2004 until now, I've been pretty busy and blessed, thank God. To date, I have won plenty of awards for my music and have appeared on numerous television and radio shows, including my own podcast, Funky Contradiction, on Toxic Radio. I have worked with NFL films, writing and recording 3 original songs appearing in HBO's original series, Hard Knocks, as well as being featured on the soundtrack available on iTunes and all other digital retail outlets. My current singles and videos are entitled Oh No, Don't, featuring Gallo, Loch Ness, and Judah Priest. Swing for the Fences, the featured song for Celebrity Boxing, Paper Chase, and the latest and greatest, Rise and Grind, which was featured on episode 3, opening scene of the CBS national television program, East New York. The last 3 songs were the result of me winning the open mic competition, where the prize was a recording and publishing deal with Milk Boy Recording Studio. These songs were produced and presented by Tommy and Jamie of Milk Boy, released by my label SNE Records and distributed worldwide through Who Mag, Sony, Orchard Distribution. I'm also working with my talented young lady named Leslie B. That's my girl. She reminds me of the female version of myself with her talent, stage presence, and drive. She currently does all my graphics and shot my latest videos for Paper Chase. Wow, you should ask her to come with us. That's my girl. She's hot. All right, where am I? I lost it. Videos for Paper Chase, Rise and Grind, and Funktastic. Shout out to Toon, whom I met through Whitney Payton. He shot my earlier solo videos for Gimme and Oh No Don't, Swing for the Fences, to name a few. Shot several of them. Another important chance meeting that led me to releasing this book, as well as me getting in the ring, was Celebrity Boxing CEO Damon Feldman. While I was on tour with Whitney Payton during a break back home in Philly in 2016, I drove for Uber and happened to pick Damon up. Wow. You just happened to pick him up. Let me see if anybody's on Instagram here. We're on 8 platforms right now. We're on this is great. We're on I think 5 Facebook pages. No, 4 Facebook pages: Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and YouTube. So we're on 8 platforms at once right now. So it's people watching on different platforms. If you have a comment, feel free to leave it in the comments. This is part 1 of the book reading. And Thursday, we'll have the final part 2, with the author in the studio. And he'll be able to do an interview. And if you want to come through and grab a book, he'll sign it. Okay? All right, so we're back here. So you picked Damon, and we hit it off really well and became fast friends, which led to me being the potential opponent of a rapper named Stitches. After a viral clip of our face-off in Miami, the match never took place. Since then, I've been a featured performer at Celebrity Boxing, as well as being featured in Damon Feldman's book entitled The 16-Minute Man, recapping the fight that never happened. What? So fast forward to 2022, After getting myself in shape, losing weight, and revising my diabetes, Damon convinces me to get in the ring with the celebrity boxing heavyweight champ, Hazel Roach. Fortunately, he didn't kill me, and I scored a draw from the match. That's what's up. But Damon, who's always thinking ahead and looking for things to promote, suggested I write a book like he did. Another person that knew this book was written in 2004 and happened to read it as well, be featured in it, was Shelly Shell from Urban Expression. She's still in television and as well as a brand manager and life coach. Suggested that I finally complete and put the book out. So after I told Damon I already have a book written, he joined Shelly Shell in strongly suggesting that I put it out. So here we are with the help of author and coach Carolyn Wilson and Bev Brooks, also known as Boss Lady from WBNC, who's also the wife of also the wife of my DJ CL Smooth. You are now about to read my book, Where I'm From. Past is History. And last but not least, my band, Supreem and the New Experience, will be releasing a brand new single and EP entitled Past is History. And we have it. We have it here in the studio. Where is it? We have it. I got it. I just had it. Oh, you know what? It's hanging up on the wall. That's it. So we got it. Unfortunately, I don't have a CD player in here. So online, we got that. We got it. Signed copy. All right. All right. So that's just, it accompanies the book. When you get the book, right. So anyway, the current SNE lineup is myself, Supreme, the Resurrector, DJ CL Smooth, DJ Exotic D, and Sunshine on the drum. This new release, Past is History, will be the latest single from the band on my label SNE Records in over 10 years. This song was also written a while ago and just chilling, waiting on the right time to be recorded and released. The words in the message are straight from the heart of God, and I'm honored to be the vessel chosen to recite these lyrics. Our latest release was the fan favorite line dance, Queen of the Wobble, which with its own dance. The Wobble Supreme, created by Team DBLT. So we're excited to release this new go-go feel-good song with its life, love, and inspirational message and lyrics. So right now, it's all about the book, the band, the music, and representing myself, Supreme, the Resurrector, also known as the one bringing dead things to life. I'm still one of the hardest working men on the scene today. I've been a mentor to kids, a credible messenger, and an urban specialist affectionately known as OG, a legend and the urban entertainer. We are currently spreading the good news, funk, rock, hip hop, and God's message of love to the world. My motto is faith over fear and always in all things, God first. Have faith and pray often. Funk that. All right, this introduction to this preface. Oh my God, excellent. I love it. So we're gonna get right into it. So we won't take too much time, and we will definitely on Thursday have that music so you guys can hear it when the author is in the studio. Yes, when the MC is in the studio. In the beginning, it was so simple, life and music. Oh, what am I reading? This is chapter 1. It's called The Beginning. In the beginning, it was so simple. Life and music was so easy to do and love. Hip hop hit me like most kids growing up in Philly. Once I heard Rapper's Delight on the radio, it was on. Before that record, I had never heard of anyone rhyming outside of singing, poetry, or stand-up comedy. When I was young, I loved music so much, even before rap came along, I used to listen to the radio and bang on pots to keep the beat. I always wanted to learn how to play the drums or blow on the sax. I never thought of myself as a singer, but I wanted to be an entertainer like Michael Jackson. Back in the day, he was a man as a young buck, and I wanted to be just like him. He was the man, making my fans scream and faint. This was my dream. But I was honest with myself, knowing that I could not sing or dance. I would never be as good as him, Michael Jackson. Until rap came along, entertainment was just a fantasy to me. After hearing Rapper's Delight, it hit me. This was something that I could do, and I was actually good at it. Back then, in the late 1970s and the early 80s, hip hop and rap was considered a fad, one that would pass quickly. Every new record that was released was considered the last of its kind by the community that did not understand it or the youth of its time. Facts. In the very beginning of the game for me, I was just a fan. I listened to Lady B and freestyle, never writing anything down. But I could spit, as they say now. Wherever I lived, whether it was in Philly, New Jersey, or Virginia, I knew I was a rapper that could rhyme. I knew I was good because I would defeat any MC that wanted to rhyme against me. I need to say thank you to Lady B and Mimi Brown for feeding me hip hop that got more complex each year its birth. As rap grew, I grew with it as a fan and as an MC. After hearing and seeing it, I was pushed deeper into this new culture. My best friend and I, who is now my DJ, Exotic D, went to see Beat Street in 1983. Before seeing this movie, I was into karate flicks and martial arts in general. After seeing Beat Street, who became exposed to breaking, the graffiti, DJing, and rapping all at once. And seeing it all at once made us want to do it all at once. I took on the name Double K for the Karate Kid, and Exotic D always had his name. It just used to be spelled Exotic D, so he spells it XZOTIC instead of the regular Exotic. We drew on everything, paper, the walls in my room, even the streets. We did not do trains, though. Drawing on my room walls was dangerous enough. We danced and even had a few breaking crews as kids. All I could do was pop, but Exotic D became so good he could even do windmills, and he still can. Now, after seeing Beat Street, Wild Style, and Breaking, I thought of myself as somewhat of an expert on the hip hop culture. God bless my mother. She took me to see all three of those movies at the same time during a triple fest. These three movies made me become more interested in the rapping part of this new hip hop culture. I changed my name to Molly Ma and started writing rhymes down and using them instead of freestyling. The next movie to influence my life was Prince's Purple Rain and all the passion Prince put into his character while on stage. But the movie that changed my life forever was Crush Groove. Yes. When LL Cool J said box and watching him do Can't Live Without My Radio, I knew it. I knew it my damn self. No, the book don't say that. Yes, I'm feeling it. He is making me feel this. I knew where I wanted to be and I wanted to do and what I wanted to do. I think Exotic D and our other friend Chris, also known as Cosmic Chris, had the same epiphany that I did. Watching LL Cool J, Cut Creator, and E Love was like watching ourselves. I knew right then and there that I was going to be an LL Cool J type MC, a worldwide versatile artist loved by everyone. Exotic D knew he wanted to be a DJ, and Chris knew he could be our main man to keep us grounded. We started a group called DJ Exotic D and the Hard Rock MCs. Exotic D received a beat machine for Christmas and began creating our beats. He was always good at the cutting and scratching, and Chris and I rocked the rhymes. Chris had a cousin that was a DJ, and he was plugged into the striving local music scene. His name was DJ Kurt, and he was cool with all the local stars such as Steady B, MC Breeze, Exotic Don, and Master Vic, to name a few. He would throw concerts and parties in Sharon Hill, Pennsylvania, with different hot artists from Philly headlining every event. We were lucky enough to convince him to let us, the Hard Rock MCs, open for one of them. We had to get everything tight for our first show. Kurt let us use his crib to practice. One, because we didn't have any other place where we could really get into it. And two, because he wanted to make sure we would not embarrass him come showtime. It was the night of our first show ever, and we were ready. We had practiced for weeks on Kurt's technique. I remember two Technique 1200 turntables and had Charlie Bass on the rolling 808 drum machine. We were the opening act for Exotic Don and Master Vic and MC Breeze at the famous student school in Sharon Hill, PA. It was known to get rowdy there, so we knew we had to represent. My homie Killer gave us a little shot of liquor before we went on. Even though I said a different verse than the one we had rehearsed, we still did well. I told everyone that I was sick, but they insisted it was just nerves. The next day, I found out that I had a temperature of 103 degrees and had come down with pneumonia. Wow. We still went on because even back then, we had dedication and determination for the game. Now I hear cats bitch about a hangnail while I perform with sprained ankles and all kinds of illnesses. The show at the student school was still important to us because it showed us that we could do it and on the same level as the big boys. It was our first show and we kept the crowd interested and didn't get bored. It showed me that if we work hard and keep good relationships with the people plugged into the game, we can also become successful. Knowing Kurt enabled us to do what other cats dreamed about. Rock a show with big names on the bill at the student school. From day one, I have been blessed to know the right people to get me into the right places and situations. In the rap game, it's more about who you know and less about the talent in the beginning. But having talent gives you the double bubble that will only increase your chances of making it. Now, the movies got me open to ideas, but there was nothing like going to New York City and chilling in the spots where these movies were made. I had a cousin that lived in the Bronx, New York, that I visited often growing up. But after hip hop dropped, these visits have become more like business trips. Thinking back, I must have looked like a clown in New York City. Exotic D and I were rocking tall box fade haircuts, suede Pumas, Cazellis, big fur hats, and you cannot forget the fat laces in the sneakers. Even back in the 1980s, New Yorkers had their own style, and my DJ and I looked like graffiti characters when we stepped off the gray hair. We were lucky to be there, though. A lot of young hip hoppers from Philly never left the block while we were strolling through the projects in the borough where our new love was born. It was through the grace of God that we did not get robbed because we sure looked like marks. Those trips were so important because every record we were buying back home all had New York addresses. New York was the mecca of hip hop, but we always had our Philly pride because at the time we had just as much history and stars as New York did. Philly has the same problem now now that it did then. All the talent, but no business outlets. From the beginning, Philly was full of selfish crooks out to get what they could get from you until there's nothing left. There are entirely too many horror stories of has-beens and never-beens in Philadelphia. In the 80s, Philly was considered second only to New York in the hip-hop business. But as of now, the Midwest and the South is kicking our ass. In the 80s, Philly had major cats that were doing it and making it. DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, Yvette Money, Malika Love, and DJ Bones, DJ Cash Money and MC Marvelous, MC Robbie B and DJ Jazzy Jeff, Hilltop Hustlers, Larry Ladd, the Tough Crew. Shout out to DJ Too Tough. Come on, he's still doing that. The Crown Rulers, all of them still doing it. DJ Miz and Fresh Stuff. The Youngsters, Bahamadia, and the Roots were some of the artists that Lady B and Mimi Brown played on their rap shows. Lady B's Street Beat was on Power 99 FM on Friday nights. Mimi Brown's show was also on Friday nights, but on WDAS 105.3 FM. I used to tape both of their shows and rock the tapes all week in my boombox. Philly artists got a lot of their shine on them shows. MC Breeze and Schoolie D were my favorites back then. I liked Breeze's versatility. He could sing, rap, and had a great personality on stage and had an overall great stage show. Schoolie D was dead serious, the original gangster. His lyrics were raw and off the street. I always bought their albums and singles from Funko Mart. To this day, both of those cats still influence me. All those artists was just some of the act making records in Philly. Some of them got signed to major labels in New York, but most of them joined independent labels in Philly. Pop Art was a label that had artists from New York like the Whole Juice Crew and Salt and Pepper. Word Up Records had Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. Bobby Dance had his own label and had Malika Love and DJ Miz. Schoolie D and MC Breeze put records out under their own independent labels, doing their own artwork and everything. Shows, parties, and major concerts were always going down in the city of Philadelphia. Bobby Dance was a major promoter that threw a lot of shows. The After Midnight on Spring Garden was a major venue that had a lot of local as well as some New York stars perform there. The local stars in Philly were so hot, they even played the Philadelphia Spectrum Arena regularly. Wow, they did a lot. You know a lot. All this stuff, I remember all this stuff, but you, as we talk about it, but you forget all about it. What's up, Wild West? Steve Mason of WDAS. How you doing? And this is crazy. Thank you for joining the show. This is very interesting. It's all about us. It's all about you, Steve. Exotic D, Cosmic Chris, and I were growing tired of being spectators. We wanted in. After our first show, we wanted to do more, but we only had routines, no songs. We started using Exotic D's beats and some instrumentals to record a demo in the basement. To us, our tracks was on fire, but to those in the biz, they were just rough amateur recordings. Besides, Chris's cousin, DJ Kurt, we did not really know anybody in the biz. Our friend Killer had a brother named Dennis that worked with DJ Jeff Mills, who was the DJ for Lady B's Street Beat, and Don Juan Banks. Oh, Don Juan Banks. Don Juan Banks from Power 99 FM. Killer would give our tapes to his brother, and his brother would always tell us to get better, and then he'll take the tapes to Power 99 FM. We did not buckle from the criticism. We just kept giving him more whack demo tapes. The person I wanted to meet was Lady B. I always thought that even though our demos were whack, she would see the potential in them and rescue us from the whackness. Today, she is a very good friend of ours, but back then we dreamed about meeting the queen of hip hop. My family was very close to her family when she was a kid, and my Aunt Jean would always say, "Keep your grades up and I'll introduce you to her." She never did. So you know what my grades must have been like. You know what my grades must have been like. I was even going as far as having my cousin Aunt Jeanette, whom I visited in the Bronx, take me to all the labels that were listed on my records while I was in New York one time. This was back when if the right person got your demo, you could blow up and be a star. I was never a real pushy type dude. I was shy when we went to the offices. I would leave my tape at the front desk and bounce. When my cousin took me to Select Records, she took over. She asked the receptionist for the A&R guy, and he came out. She told him I was from Philly and that I was hot, and he should listen to my tape. That's why it's always good to have a mouthpiece or a manager if you are the shy type. He gave us his number and told me to holler at him. But when I did, he said they were going to pass on the material. I'm not care. I was gassed about being in Select Records office. I think that presentation was one of our early downfalls. presentation yet. We did not have a picture or a bio. We did not know what a package was. I would drop tapes with notes in people like Bobby Dance's home mailboxes. We never got any callbacks, but that was the only way that we knew to get on. Eventually, Exotic D, Cosmic Chris, and I ended the group, but we have remained the best of friends to this day. Chris stopped rapping and found his true calling of being an entrepreneur, fixing cars and cutting hair. Exotic D kept making beats and was still DJing locally. I joined with another local crew who were once the hard rock MCs rivals. I was with a few high school buddies from around the way, like Big Chuck, who played guitar, and we had some great live jam sessions in his basement. Jimmy Jones, also known as MC Barsky, was the guy that started me off. He was a little older than the rest of us, but he could rap, draw, and was crazy as hell. My main man, Sam, aka DJ Slate, Antonio, aka Disco T, and his brother Asher were our DJs. We made more basement tracks and busted cats' asses at local house parties. We also battled our other neighborhood rivals. My OG, the late great Mellow G's young brother, Dennis, his main man, Orlando, and Vic. But we mostly just hung out and had fun back then. During that time, I was being managed by a neighborhood friend that believed in Exotic D and I from the beginning, named Nicole. She's currently Dr. Paris Nicole Payton, publicist and public relations crisis manager for the NFL and different professional players. Wow. My last year in high school, I got with the West Philly crew, DJ Davey D, also known as Amazing D, lived on 52nd Street. West Philly was where all the hotness in hip hop was happening. Davey D and I practiced and recorded joints at his crib every day. Through Dave and hanging on the strip, I met Bass and Beats, who recorded a demo for us. We became cool with Sean G, who was a dope MC, about to get signed with RCA Records, but he got killed on the subway. A guy named Red, Sean G's DJ, let us use his technique 1200s to cut on when we recorded over Bason's house. These guys got me into rhyming more seriously and away from the MC breeze, Fresh Prince type of style. They got me more street like Sean. They got me more street like Sean G and intense like KRS-One, who at the time was jumping off. Plus, I kept my funny stories, which made me versatile. What's up? What's up, Biggs? Reading Preem's book. It was around the time that I changed my name to Supreme. Reggie told Dave that Dave and I to change our names because there already was a Molly Mall and a Davy DMX in New York. I took Supreme from the tag I used to leave on the desks and books. Molly Mall at the Molly Mall, the MC Supreme, and Dave changed his to Amazing D. This is how Supreme was born. It was the late 80s, and we were plugged into a live squad. Bass and Beats was a producer that a lot of labels and artists wanted beats from. Reg was a hot DJ doing big things in West Philly, and I just knew I was going to blow messing with those cats. It did not happen the way we planned, but we learned a lot of things along the way. I learned that who you know or associated with helps a lot, but it does not happen overnight. We had big fun and we were living a dream that we were chasing. Now we're going into chapter 2. This book is very exciting. I want to shout out in the building. Okay, Chasing the Dream. After high school, I went into a summer program at Temple University called Act 101, which was a program to ease freshmen into college life. Amazing D took a 9 to 5 and was expecting a kid. Music was taking a back burner for us both, and even though we have remained friends, we drifted apart as a rap group. The music was still in me though. I could not give up on what I loved so much, but we needed to figure out our lives after high school graduation. I thought after joining the Army Reserve, I thought about joining the Army Reserve, but my grandmother forbade it. She figured I would end up drunk on the side of the road somewhere down south AWOL because I was wild in those days. She wanted me to stay in college and not focus so much on rap. Even though she thought I was good, she did not see a career coming out of it, but I did, and look at me now. I had an undying faith when it came to hip hop and me, but I went to Temple to make her and my family proud. I had always been interested in building things, so I picked engineering as my major. The best thing about the Summer Act 101 program was the people I met while I was there. There were a lot of pretty girls and cool homies. The two that stick out are Mike Check and Raul. Mike Check and I became instant friends, and Raul was our partner. In the years to come, Mike Check would become my sidekick in my rap career. During my first fall semester at Temple, I rocked a leather blazer, shell-toe Adidas, and a thick gold rope around my neck. This was 1988, and Run DMC was my favorite rap group. I had a box haircut with stair-step parts and parts of my eyebrows like my favorite MC at the time, Big Daddy Kane. Lady B was still the queen of radio, feeding me all the hip-hop I needed every Sunday. I was not writing too many rhymes at the time, but I was still nice with the off the top. Plus, I had songs for days in my rap book from different squads and eras that I had gone through. After seeing how thick my engineering book was, I switched my major with the quickness to radio, television, and film because somebody told me that you could get into the studio for free. They did not tell me that you do not see the studio until you damn near graduate 4 years later. The classes for my major were boring me, so I cut them and opted for more of a social life on campus with Mike and Raul. Mike and Raul were my dogs once they heard me rap and have been down and supportive ever since. The three of us were messing up in school, but we were cool and got recruited by the Phi Beta Sigmas. We became Sigma Squires. That's what they call you before you go online to pledge. Through the Sigma Squires, I met my guy named Rod Lord, who gave me my first real taste of the rap industry. Rod also was a Temple student and a fellow Sigma Squire. He was a hustler, and he was plugged into the music industry because he threw shows and parties. He was that dude. that booked the major artists in the game to perform. I did not know it, but I did not know it then, but I was building a relationship with somebody that could put me on. I was politicking and networking and did not even know it. In my Temple days, I held a job at John Wanamaker's department store downtown Philly. There I met someone that would help me with the business side of the game, and another that would introduce me to the people that would become major players in my music career. The first someone was Tommy T, who today is the famous comedian Tommy Too Smooth. What up, cuz? In 1989, he was a former Word Up recording artist that was a security guard at Wanamaker's when I worked there. Word Up Records was the label that put out DJ Jeff and the Fresh Prince' first album, Girls of the World Ain't Nothing But Trouble, before they got to Jive Records. Tommy used to talk to me and another young rapper named Angelo, who today is a hip hop producer named Vax, about the shadiness of the business. Tommy had a record out called My Sister's a Trip. That was on a Word Up compilation. He told me who he was. I immediately knew his record because I used to listen to it all the time. It was funny as hell. He told us how that record was all over the world and he never got a dime. He said Dana Goodman, who owned the label, had him sign a whack deal. He told us to be careful about what we signed. He even helped me out with my rhyming game, telling me to be more descriptive and let my feelings and personality into my songs. To this day, every time I see him, I tell him how much he helped me. The other guy I met at Wanamaker's was someone I already had known as a kid from Penrose. His name is Isaiah Ginyard, and his father sang for a group called the Elgins. When we were kids, his father was one of those that thought hip hop would just be a fad. Isaiah would introduce me to my future rap partner and best friend, Larry, aka Kick. Isaiah was starting up a new rap group, and after hearing my stuff, wanted me to be a part of it. It was to be called the New School. The New School Network, or the NSN. We were going to be a collective of different rap groups that would blow up and be large, like the Juice Crew or the Flavor Unit. Rap crews and cliques were really big back then. I was supposed to rhyme for the other members of the group, but somehow they ended up rhyming for me instead. The first call from the, I guess it's the KIK, from the KIK would later become my rap partner in The Regulators. He told me about his group, the Rhyme Alliance, that consisted of him and two dancers, Kenny and Chris, and their DJ Greg. He told me that KIK stood for Knowledge is Knowing, and we spit verses back and forth over the phone. We hit it off from the gate and respected each other's flow. The second call I got was from Lisa, aka LED, and we hit it off. She even became my girlfriend soon after the first call. She really liked my song, Blind Date, and that song has got me through other doors as time went on. Other members called me, but I remember the conversation with Lisa and Larry the most. Word got back to Ike, and I was cool, and they made me a member of the New School Network. The NSN was supposed to be managed by Ike's pop, Virgil, and ran by Ike. It consisted of Ike's group with twins, Craig and Brian, LED, the Rhyme Alliance, and a couple other cats that I vaguely remember. My former DJ Sam, aka DJ Slate, came with me. when I joined the NSN. During the NSN era, I still worked at Winemakers and was on my way to getting kicked off out of Temple. Sam and I did our thing while Exotic D did our beats. Exotic D fell back from the turntables, even though he was one of the nicest on the wheels to do production. Plus, he was holding out until he got his own Tech 1200. His own Technique 1200. At Temple, all I did was hang out with Mike Check, Raul, Rod Lloyd, and the rest of my Signal Squad brothers. We hung out in the Student Activity Center where we played pool, arcade games, and went to the free movie theater. I was in class maybe 4 times a week. My mom was always on the NSN and on the weekends. I got drunk and partied with my big brothers at Phi Beta Signal. The NSM and I became close friends first. I was driving an 89 Chevy Corsica, and the twins Craig and Brian drove also, so we rolled together deep. We would go to the after midnight once we saw Rob Bass perform live. I was recording songs with Sam and Exotic D, but I never heard any of the members of the NSM stuff. There were a lot of big plans about how we were all going to blow, but the biggest plan of all would be the end of the New School Network. What's up? What's up? Yes, we in this building. Congrats again. We getting it. We getting it. What's up? Fires in here. Yeah. Fire Nation Flames, guys. These two, Supreem and Rezareka and Fire Nation Flames, they performing on the 26th down Atlantic City. It's a free concert on the boardwalk. Caesars, across the Caesars. Caesars ACX1 Studios. Okay, y'all. Just go down there. You'll see all the rah-rah going on. It'll be easier just to come on the boardwalk in front of Caesars. Yeah. All right, let's get back. Where we at? I lost myself. Oh, okay. Ike said that Virgil wanted all of us to kick out $105 a piece for this major move we were about to make. He wanted to bring us out under his own label and supposedly created called Pot of Gold Records. We were all questioning what the money was for, and Virgil told us that it would be used to cover our BMI and ASCAP, studio time, copyrights, and a bunch of other bullshit. We wanted to be famous, but bad, like most aspiring artists that we fell for. He had dangled the carrot of fame in front of us, and we were blinded by the bullshit. Lisa, Larry, Craig, and Brian all paid their money. Virgil even took the money from his son. That's what saved Ike from the beatdown. I thank God for my family because they would not let me pay the money. They knew Virgil was full of shit from back in the day. I always read anything and everything hip hop related, books, magazines. It did not matter. Mike Elliott had a magazine called Crush Magazine that I loved. And then it was an advertisement for a local record company called April Records. April Records was located on Woodland Avenue in Southwest Philly. And they had a hip hop division called Pot of Gold Records. That struck me as peculiar because the logo in the magazine looked the same as the one Virgil had described to me. I called the number and got through to the CEO, and he agreed to meet with me in his office. He said he would listen to my demo, and he was really interested in Virgil's Pot of Gold Records also. This was the first record company I had been to in Philly, and I was nervous as hell. I went by myself, and I had flashbacks of the time I went to the labels in New York. It was just a small independent label, but by today's standards, but back then, I thought I was in Def Jam. The offices were on the second floor over top the studio and large storage areas downstairs. They had pictures and posters of all their artists on the walls and little cubicles. The CEO was a cool dude in his late 40s, early 50s. After he had chopped it up for a minute, he popped in my tape. He told me he liked my raps and he said that the quality was a little distorted. He did not like the crazy sounds Exotic D used on the tracks. Exotic D loved strange wild sounds and used some crazy James Brown scream on one of the tracks that yelped all through the song. We thought it was hot, but my man here did not. He liked Sam's cuts and said we were all good, but needed a little work. He'd offer us a chance to use his studios to get it tight, but they closed up before we could ever hit him up on that offer. When he asked about Virgil and his label, I told him about the NSN and that Virgil was going to sign us after we all paid him $105 to pot up Gold Records. He said he knew who Virgil was and called him on the phone right then and there. He confronted Virgil over the phone and Virgil acted like he did not know what he was talking about. After he got off the phone with Virgil, he explained to me that when a label is going to sign you, they pay you, not the other way around. I did not know that. Every time I pass that building on Woodland Avenue, I think about the meeting. The same April Records sign with the phone number on it. It still hangs from the vacant building after all these years. Wow. I could not get out of that building fast enough to tell NSN what I just found out. I told Lisa and Larry first, and they were hot. When the rest of the crew found out, they were ready to smash Ike and his pop. That night, Larry, Craig, and Brian went to Ike's house to get their money back and to kick Ike and his pop's asses. After that, the New School Network was no more. For years, every time Larry saw Ike, he would bring up that $105 scandal and Ike's lying ass daddy, Virgil. After my April Records meeting, of course, I hated my demo. Well, I did not hate it per se, but I just looked at it a different way, knowing that we had to improve it. At this point, I was on my last leg of Temple, and Rod Lord and I started getting really tight. He was getting me interested in what he did, which was concert and party promoting. His boss, who was from New Jersey, would send Rod a lot of money to book different artists to perform at these shows. Rod was a slick talking dude that dressed down. He was smart as hell and never wore stylish ride gear. He was a hustler, not out to impress anyone, always low key. Rod was the one who showed me how a demo package was supposed to look. He told me that when you book an artist, no matter how big or small they were, they send the promoter a press package. He showed me Kool G's rap press kit. I saw how a bio was written, the pictures, and listened to the tapes. This really made me feel bad because all I had was a cheap ass Memorex with 4 songs on it. That was just one of the lessons Rod taught me about how the industry did business. During the summer of 1989, I was between schools. Temple had given me an ultimatum. I could be expelled for good for poor grades or go to the community college of Philadelphia and improve my GPA. I chose to go to the community college. That way I could still keep my financial aid and I still had a chance to make my family proud. I had the whole summer to try to blow up before I got back on my educational grind. My punishment for getting drunk and messing up in school was that my parents took away my Corsica. That summer, Rod stayed in an apartment on Temple's campus. I took the subway up there early every day to chill with him, Mike, Check, and Raul. Not having a car did not stop my program until Rod had to go to New York. He did not have a ride, but we had to get there to meet Mimi Brown at a De La Soul album release party. This was a chance of a lifetime to go to an industry party full of stars and official hip-hop business in New York City. I could not ask my people for my card back, so I stole it. I picked up Sam, our friend Rub, and Rod, and we're off on one of the best trips to New York City I've ever taken in my life. The memories are a little foggy because of a case of beer and liquor that was brought along for the trip. We hit New Jersey first and met Rod's boss. He gave Rod all the money in cash and gave him instructions on what to holler at Mimi about. Sam did most of the driving up, and I did most of the drinking. When we hit the city, it was evening time, so we went straight to the De La Soul party. It was somewhere in Manhattan, and it was off the hook. Sam, Rub, and I chilled and walked around the party while Rod took care of business with me. We met De La Soul, Mimi Brown, and Bismarck's DJ, Cool V. He actually bumped into me and we gave each other dirty looks. Then the ultimate thing happened. I met Big Daddy Kane and got his autograph. He was chilling at the bar with these two bad honeys and was too cool for words. He took the time out to meet Sam and I and sign autographs for us to take back home. After the party, we hit a club called The World. It was crazy in there because it was a big building with 3 floors for partying. We did not leave New York till 4 a.m. Rod had to drive us back because Sam and I were tore up and tired. I was not even sweating the consequences of stealing the car going to New York. When we got home, my people did not go too hard on me because I told them everything that happened and why I was there. I always told my people the truth, good or bad. The main lesson Rob taught me was not to get cocky out of the starting gate. It was a hard lesson to learn, and it kept me humble to this day. Rob was booking Slick Rick to do a concert, and he was going to let me open up the show for him. At that time, 1989, Slick Rick was hot, and I wanted to know how much he was getting paid for the show. Rob told me he had to pay him $5,000, so I figured that meant I could get $500. Rod asked me why I thought he should pay me $500. I told him because he was my friend and that I was guaranteed to kick ass on the stage. Plus, I knew he was going to make a lot of money off Slick Rick's show. He calmly broke it down to me that if he did not promote the show right, he might not make a dime. He told me that it should be a privilege and an honor for a nobody like me to open up for the hottest rapper in the game. He said that the crowd would only be there to see Slick Rick, and I should be using the opportunity to build my name. He told me that cats would line up and pay for him for a chance and pay him for a chance to open up for Slick Rick. And to make sure I understood, he pulled me off the show. I begged him to put me back on, but Rob wanted to show me how bad I messed up. I was more pissed at myself than at him because I put my own foot in my mouth. I learned that you got to know your worth. If you are at the top of the game, get what you deserve. But if you're at the bottom, be realistic with yourself and accept your rank. But also, you got work. You got to work hard to get promoted and never quit. Soon after that, I started the community college in Philadelphia and lost touch with my Temple friends. Mike Check and Raul remained close to me. Lisa and I broke up, and Ike was still trying to make moves on our behalf. Ike called me up and told me that his group, Larry's group, and Lisa were recording at the new studio in West Philly. They all let me hear the new song that they got from this new producer. Their joint sounded hot, and the quality was much better than my demo. Sam started working and stopped chasing the dream. Exotic D started going to Temple and got his mind on school and off hip-hop tracks for a minute. I was alone at community college and in music. I wanted some of the new music that Lisa and Larry were getting. I wanted to be down with the new producer with the hot tracks from the studio from West Philly. Lisa told me that he did not work with just anybody, but she said she would talk to him for me. She called back later that night, and he said he wanted to come in. He wanted me to come in so he could check me out. I came to find out that she got him interested in me by reciting my song, Blind Date, over the phone. She told him that I was her ex-boyfriend and that we were still cool. She got me an appointment to go to the studio so we could meet. The day of the appointment, I got into a car accident on the corner. I left him a message that my car was in front of his house and asked him to keep an eye on it for me until I get it towed, and he gave Lisa another time for me to come in. The next time, my parents dropped me off, and he was not there when I got there. He told me to let me in and let me know that he would be back soon. That was when I first met Quack, and he offered me my favorite thing in the world at the time, beer. By the time the big man returned, I was tore up, and this is how I first met Dr. Shock. Damn, man. We tried to record a song that day, but we couldn't because I got all too drunk. Because we all got too drunk. Okay, everybody was drunk. We definitely did hit it off from the start. Quack and Shock like my rhymes and my personality. Wow, this book is really, really good. You know, I know we got a little bit more to go. We've been for a while, but I'm trying to read a little bit faster for you guys. I'm enjoying it. You know, it's giving me some memories and whatnot myself. You know, it's giving me some memories. So it's great. I love it. I love it. And I hope you guys are enjoying it. We're reading from the author Supreem, the Rezareka, also known as JEMAL Carter. Yes. So, you know, this book is really good. Fuck that. That's right. All right. Chapter 3. How I Could Have Met Shock. Oh, wow. Funny that I met Shock the way I did, because I could have met him so many other ways and times. First, he was good friends with Sam's older sister, Lauren, and she always told us that she was going to introduce us to her producer friend. He came to Sam's house all the time, just like me, and we must have just missed each other. Second, I knew Shock's younger brother, Joel, from high school. He used to produce tracks for the group called the Block Boys. I even took Joel's girl to the prom because her mother, who was one of my mom's best friends, all those years that Joel and I were cool, I never knew that Shock was his brother until I met Shock for myself. He later made Joel my DJ. Either way, I'm glad I met him because Dr. Shock was and still is a major player in my hip hop career. Dr. Shock was the head of Dark Side Productions. Shock made the beats, and his brother Jerome, aka the Mad Scratcher, was the DJ. There was also his best friend Quack, who played the hell out of some drums. Mark, aka Shadow, and Andre, who played the position of the manager. Andre could sell ice to an Eskimo. They were older than me, and they all became like my big brothers. They took me from a teenager to manhood. Shock's group was called the Full Moon Orchestra. Before I became an official member of the Dark Side, Shock recorded me on a few of his tracks. We did Blind Date, Over, the song that got me put on, and a freestyle type joint called Verses. He then let me do this joint that I call What Are We Waiting For? A socially conscious rap for my people. Shock had a lot of artists he could record, and with most of them, he would ask them to come in to record or practice on a Friday or Saturday night. Those weekend nights for any artist who wasn't serious about the game would go out and party instead of coming to the studio. I passed the test right away with flying colors because I would come over anytime he asked me to. I put my work in no matter how long the sessions took, which was all night most of the time. Ike was the reason that Lisa and Larry's group, the Rhyme Alliance, became members of Dark Side Productions, but Ike's group stopped coming back. Shock also had other artists that I had never met. There was a young 13-year-old female rapper named Danielle, who would one day become my manager many years later. And 2 by 1, 3 young, we all heard about each other through Shock, and we heard each other's demons. Shock recorded us, wrote our bios, and took our pictures. He made sure everybody was safe and comfortable. The official roster for Dark Side Productions were Dr. Shock and his homies, Larry's group, the Rhyme Alliance, Lisa, aka LED, 2 by 1, Danielle and I, and MC Supreem. Shock hooked up a show for us all at Temple University, the first of many. At the show, we finally met each other face to face. No one wanted to go on first, so Shock and Jerome went on first to break the ice. Danielle did her thing next, and then 2 by 1 went on after her. Lisa went next, followed by the Rhyme Alliance. The Rhyme Alliance was really Larry as the rapper. Kenny and Chris were his dancers, and Greg was the DJ. And they put on a good show. I went last, and I did what I do now. Brought a lot of energy and crowd participation. We all did well and impressed each other, and from that first show, we became family from that day on. We even recorded songs all together when Shock put together this self-destruction type called Wake Up. It was a hot James Brown sample track, and we all dropped anti-violence verses on it. We had Exotic D shoot a video for it since he was into all kinds of production while he was at Temple. Then we recorded a posse cut dedicated to Hank Gathers, the ball player from Philly that died. Shock was smart. He knew that these positive songs would open up a lot of doors for us. For years, as a crew, we did a lot of shows together, colleges, block parties, and small clubs. We even performed Wake Up at Temple's University McGonigal Hall. We were the halftime act for a basketball game at Temple, and that had to be one of our biggest crowds. We did lots of of events for different community organizations because of the positive material we had. Plus, each act was hot on stage. We practiced a lot to keep the dancers and MCs on point. Everybody had dancers except me, and all I had was my right-hand man, Mike Check, my buddy from Temple days, my Temple days. He ended up moving to Pembroke right across the street from me, and we hung every day. I wanted dancers too. One day, Mike Check and I met these two wild young bucks named Miz and Jay. They were into the same thing we were into, drinking a lot of beer and hip hop. They showed me their moves, and they were off the hook and real daredevils. Jay was really short, and Miz used to throw his little ass all over the place. Mike and I put them on, and we did a lot of shows together, but we also got into a lot of trouble together. The last straw for Shock was coming quick because my crew and I were becoming menaces to society. We even missed the show because we got locked up the night before wilding out on South Street. Mike Check was also getting fed up with my dancers and me. So after our big Out of the Dark concert that Shock put together to show all the Dark Side production artists, I had to let Miz and Jay go. Shock said, either way, they go or I go with them. I had no problem getting rid of anything except for my immediate family and God that would jeopardizing my career. I'm guilty of taking things to the limit, but when you gotta go, you gotta go, like drinking before a show. The teen house parties and college parties that Shock had to DJ would bring out the whole Dark Side crew. We had fun when we partied together. All the dancers from the crew would battle other dancers. We would eat all the rappers up and that wanted to battle. And then we would party hard until the lights came on and Shock stopped the music. The only party that we all went to that I regretted was at this club on Market and Orthodox in Frankfurt. Today, the place is an after-hours club called The Name of the Game. But back then in the early 90s, it was a teen club. For some reason, Mike Check and I wanted to get extra twisted, so we bought a case of Red Bull beer and tried to kill the whole thing before we went to the party. The place was packed. Shock had the spot rocking, and the whole Dark Side crew was in the house. The owner of the club asked if we wanted to perform, and Shock said it was up to us. We had already killed every show we'd been on, so my drunk ass wanted to hit the stage. I said, I'm Supreme and I can rock the crowd. I got out there fumbling and forgetting my words and got booed so hard. I never heard anybody get booed that badly before. I was so drunk, I started booing the crowd back. Mike Check had to come out and pull me off the stage. It was a damn near riot. Oh my God. That was the first, the only time that I got booked. When I got off stage, when I got off stage, Shock's younger sister Nita lit me up. She told me off for about 10 minutes, telling me how I played myself. I just sat there with my head down because I had ruined it up for all of us. After I got off, the crowd booed everybody that tried to get on stage. They booed Larry and his dancers, and they were always a crowd favorite. Shock got the party jumping again by playing some records, but I wanted to go home and burn myself. I felt so bad that I could not even face Shock that night. The whole crowd looked at me like I was a plug. The next day I went to Shock's house to apologize and let him know that I was quitting the rap game. He told me to stop feeling sorry for myself. He wanted me to use that bad experience as a lesson for the future. That is all he really said, because he knew his sister got in my ass the night before, better than anybody at this point could have. Right then and there, my pity party was over, and I was ready to redeem myself. I also made my mind up never to drink before a show again, and to also cut back on drinking, period. When I had work to do with Dark Side Productions, I knew everybody was still thinking about me and the night, so my checking out fell back to get ready to blow everybody's minds at the next show. We practiced on a new routine, and since we didn't have any dancers anymore, it was all on us. The next show was at a college, and the whole Dark Side Productions crew was booked to perform. I was getting Snickers and funny looks from the whole crew. After everybody was done rocking, Mike Check and I were the last to go on. My energy was on fire, and Mike Check held it down as my hype man. We did a new song called Lyrical Hypeness that had Mike on the hook. He was doing this thing on the same level that Spliff Star does for Busta Rhymes today. Then we made everybody go up when we did a dance routine during the song. The song that everybody, including Shock, know that I was back and more focused than ever. Even now, I can't figure out why we never got signed to a major deal, because from 1989 to 1992, Dark Side Production house things. We did radio shows, TV shows, got write-ups in magazines and newspapers. We were doing it all, except getting signed. But we were getting plenty of practice for when we did. One TV show we did a lot was Frank Bay's Talent Showcase on Channel 7. Anytime any one of us was on there, we won to return for another episode. We met a lot of good people dealing with Frank Bay. Ooh, sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. One time, Frank Bay threw a talent show at the New Tech, also known as the legendary Uptown Theater on Broad and Susquehanna. Each of us were in a different category. The Rhyme Alliance was the male group, 2x1, the female group, LED was the female solo, and I was the male solo. The UMCs were the special performers of the evening, and they kicked it. Too much. Try to get a little air. Right. And they kicked it, the UMC Shout House. After we finished performing, shocked that we had swept the whole event because each of us killed our category, and everybody won except for me. Oh my God. I got beat by a guy named Mert. I was pissed because this wasn't the first time that Mert had won a Frank Bay contest. I found out later that Mert was Frank Bay's nephew. Oh, damn. And he also managed him. This let us know that most talent shows were fixed, but to use them for exposure and not the prizes. Okay. It was now 1992, and all the girls of the Dark Side Production were growing up and moving on. Danielle graduated from high school, was going to Temple University. Lisa left St. Joe's University to go to Virginia, and 2x2 were going their separate ways as well. I guess most people cannot keep chasing a dream forever. Sometimes you have to pursue other goals. Not me, though. I I was still in it to win it. Around that time, I was going to community college part-time and was doing well. I had changed my major again to business management. That way I could manage my music career. I took a public speaking class to improve my live stage presence, and school was becoming more fun because I related my classes to my music. I was working little part-time jobs here and there and did my thing with Dr. Shock and Dark Side Productions. With the girls gone, the fellas had to hold it down. The Rhyme Alliance, Dr. Shock, Mike Check, and I played the studio a lot, recorded new songs. One day we heard Frank Bay's new TV show intro, and he had a track that Shock had done. So the Rhyme Alliance and I did a diss track directed towards Frank Bay and his TV show. Larry suggested we call ourselves the Regulators. He got the idea from the movie Young Guns. We said that Shock was the old guy in the movie that brought the Young Guns together. And that at that time, I thought that the Rhyme Alliance was really hot. Chris stopped dancing to become a barber, and he was cutting all our heads. Kenny started rapping, and he was hot too. Larry was writing some hot ass songs with tight hooks. The last song I recorded was a joint called Laughing at You. It was a good song, but I did not think it was on the level that Larry and Kenny were rhyming on. And I was still stuck on that Big Daddy Kane style, and they were on that new style of the cats coming out, like Wu-Tang, Redman, and Busta Rhymes. Then the local hip-hop magazine, The Buzz, started writing about them. We started performing together at the Rap Underground North, created by Kenny White and hosted by Snook Chaos. The Rhyme Alliance shows were crazy because the Regulators would come out on stage and hype them up on the mic and perform the song that we did for Frank Bay at the end of their set. I was ready to put my own rap career to bed and concentrate on helping Shock and the Rhyme Alliance blow up. Larry and Kenny convinced me to keep going. They pushed me to keep writing and to sharpen up my lyrics. I started listening to all the hot new artists that were coming out and started writing some hot, up-to-date lyrics. Larry suggested that we become one group called the Regulators. It was Larry, Kenny, and me as rappers, and our homie Dave, Chris, and Mike Check were our squad. And of course, Dr. Shock was as the producer and the man with the plan. As far as the old Dark Side production crew, I knew we were all hot. Shock did not want to play favorites and make any of us feel slighted, so he pushed us all at once. He led us with his heart and protected us from the shadiness of business. I believe that he pushed whoever was the hottest of us all. I believe that if he pushed whoever was the hottest out of all of us, that the person or group would have gotten a deal and the rest would have followed. I also think that it was not our time yet, but we learned a lot while we were waiting for our time to shine. I know I was not ready for the music business anyway. While I would have ended up dead or in jail and broke. We were having big fun as the old crew, but now as the Regulators, we were about to learn the stress of business. Wow, this is crazy. This is crazy. Okay, guys, it's a lot. I should have did this in 3 parts. It's 3 parts. But it's interesting, though. It is very interesting. This is part 1, guys, of the book reading. Thursday, we're going to have the final part I'm trying to get through this book. We have the author, Supreem, the Rezareka, aka JEMAL Carter. He will come in as we read the book. Thank y'all for being here. You got any comments? Leave your comments. We're always looking for interesting guests that have a story or a product or a brand. You can contact me to set up an interview. I'm always here. Also, the call line. We have a call line. The call line is open. Anybody want to call in? The number is 609-315-4442. The call line is open if anybody wants to call in. We got a lot going on here. Where's the call line? Oh, that's the call line. All right, so now we're getting into we read 3 chapters already. I'm on the 4th chapter. It's the regulators. As an artist, I'm gonna start reading a little bit faster, guys. Okay, because let me see how much more time do we have on the podcast. We have about 15 minutes. Okay. So if I don't get through there, we'll just stop right there, and then we'll just continue the rest as we will on Thursday. As artists under Dark Side Productions, we cultivated and expanded our talent. We went from making all right songs to recording banging demos, from entertaining the classroom to rocking a crowd. Even Shock grew. His equipment went from an overdubbing cassette deck to recording us on a brand new Tascam 6-track recorder. Those 3 years together helped us all grow as artists. As far as the business part, we the artists learned a little. I learned to fill out my own copyright forms without a problem. I used to hate filling out that form because before Dark Side Productions, every one of them that I sent out always came back to me with some sort of problem. I can remember ignoring the publishing company and other things involving the music industry until Shock gave me the biggest book I had ever seen in my life, called The Business of Music. He told me to read it cover to cover and to look at each contract in the back of the book. He encouraged me to ask about anything that I did not understand, and he would try his best to explain it to me. That showed me that even he was learning also as we went along, and that he did not know everything. I read the book cover to cover, understanding very little. That book covered every part of the music business after an artist gets signed. It went from the record contracts to the management, from publishing to foreign rights. The back of the book actually had contracts from every kind of deal situation. I did not know this then, but everything I read would come back to me crystal clear as my time in the business went on. Shock was explaining his knowledge about the game also. He would ask his friend Dennis McFadden anything that he did not understand about the business, and Dennis would break it down for him, like Shock did for me. Dennis McFadden is a record producer that knows a lot about the music business. He is one of the very few people in Philly that knows what he's talking about and does not mind sharing the information. He put Shock down with going to different music conferences, which enabled Shock to meet some nice contracts and improve nice contacts and improve on what he was already doing. I remember when Shock first went to the Impact in Atlantic City. As soon as he got back, he could not wait to fix everything that we were doing wrong. See, this is the thing, guys. Y'all ain't getting this. I know y'all not watching this show. I know y'all not picking this stuff up. But to God be the glory. You know what I mean? I'm not even going to trip. This is some good stuff. Everything in it is fact. Everything. The regulators did not get beat up by the business at first. Our biggest hump was to keep the members in the group because we had gone from 6 cats to 3. It was 1993 and I was still going to community college and I sort of had a real job. I was part-time customer service rep for PNC Bank. The rest of the regulators, Chris, Dave, Larry, and Kenny, all worked at the retirement home called Waverly Heights in Gladwin, PA. Mike Check enlisted in the Army, and when he returned home, he had moved from Penrose back to North Philly. We were still cool, but we didn't hang every day like we used to. Then Chris and Dave left the group. Chris left to start cutting hair at a shop full time, and Dave had some sort of falling out with the fellas. This left Larry, Kenny, and myself to hold it down as a group. We had started practicing Larry's kitchen once a week. We had 3 songs that we went over to keep our rhyme sharp and movement smooth. Kenny made the transition from dancer to rapper look easy because he was a natural when he rhymed. Then one day he just stopped coming to practice. Larry was a real hothead back then, and he had cussed him out over the phone, which really made him not want to come back. So there were only 2 regulators left, him and I. Larry was never comfortable with the regulators, being just the 2 of us. He felt that with a name like the regulators, people was going to expect at least 3 people to perform. I didn't really care as long as he and I stayed together, but he was on a mission to find another member. Then one day he called me and said that Greg, the former DJ from the Rhyme Alliance, was back in Philly. Greg had left the group a while ago and had moved to Atlanta, but now he was back and he was rhyming now. Larry said he heard him rhyme and liked what he was spitting. Greg was always cool with me, so I was down with it. A year later, Shock had moved to the studio from 61st Street and Webster Street to 58th Street, 58 and Race Street. He converted the storefront of his grandfather's house that used to be a tailor shop into a full-fledged studio. It's the same studio that we are in today. He got a new mixing board, recording equipment, and a new drum machine. Shock and Jerome remodeled the whole spot, and they even built a nice mic booth. This had become a new home of Dark Side Productions, soon to become Dark World Entertainment. The new 3-man group, the Regulators, were the first to record there. It was Larry, a.k.a. K.I.K., Greg, a.k.a. Papa Grand, and me, Supreme. We recorded 2 new songs, Who's a Regulator and You Don't Stop. Shock produced both cuts and the beats were sick. It was Larry and I mostly on Who's a Regulator because that was a song that we did right around the time that Kenny left. We each killed a verse on And You Don't Stop. Larry was real smooth and sharp with his verse. My verse came off real rugged like Sticky Fingers. And Greg, who actually rhymed first, killed it also to me. Now it was time to perform. We still practice every week in Larry's kitchen and we're ready for our first show together. We had a guy that worked at Waverly Heights named Martin act as our manager. Martin was Trinidadian and he was a cool cat. He really believed in us as a group. We all went out and bought outfits, so when we did perform, we would have the same gear. The sets we got, we called our regulator gear, which consisted of cream baggy shorts with matching vests that we rocked with black Champion t-shirts. We were sharp and we were ready. For our first show, we got booked to perform at Second Cousins when it was on 5th and Rockland Street. It was the first of many shows that the Regulators would do for a local performer named Hollywood. All of our families and friends showed up and we killed it. My uncle Laymondo who hit me to a lot of classic funk songs from back in the day, had come to the show, had come to show love and support. The main thing that I remember about that show was that we kept crisscrossing back and forth on the stage, keeping whoever was rapping in the center. Shock told us before the show to keep moving and work the stage, and it stuck. The next show we did was at Houston Hall on the University of Penn's campus. This show was fly because most of the people that we shared the stage with, Manuel Glenn, they don't know who he is. He who is now the right-hand man for Mayor John Street and Governor Ed Randell, hosted the show. We were on the same bill as some. We were on the same bill as some up-and-coming Philly artists that were creating a real buzz in the city, like As Yet, Untitled. Yes, they were on to become As Yet, who sang Babyface, produced hit Last Night. We did a lot of shows with them back in the day. We killed the show by doing the same routines and rocking our regulator gear. You know what? And some of these people I know, you know what I mean? Like, if you don't know who Manuel Glenn is Urban One Radio now, okay? And should I eat pizza with As Yet? All right, so let's go. Another major move for us was when we went to Virginia to perform. It was my family reunion, and they had hired Shock and his brother Jerome as the DJ and wanted the regulators to perform. Shock had done the family function for my peoples in Virginia before, and the Rhyme Alliance and I performed. This time we were back as the regulators, and we had Greg and Mike Check with us. The family loved us all, and we rocked our gear as usual. It was an outdoor event in my Aunt Frank's big backyard, and we tore it up. After the show, a friend of the family hooked us up with a promoter down there. He gave us the number of a cat named Vader that could hook us up with the show in the Virginia area. It was a good getaway and a great connection that would come in handy later. Back in Philly, we had another show to do, and this would be the last time the three of us would perform together as the regulators. It was a wedding reception for someone in Larry's family. It seemed like another normal show for the group. We had our routine polished and our regulator gear pressed. The only thing that had us a little stressed out was the fact that Larry's father was dying in the hospital from cancer, and my grandfather was also in the hospital suffering from heart disease. That led to some tension in the group before the show, but we decided to do it anyway. Before the show, Greg and I decided to get a 40-ounce of beer to drink for the ride to the venue. Larry caught an attitude because I had gone back on my promise not to drink before a show. I knew a little 40-ounce between the two of us would not even give me a buzz, so I ignored them, which probably made him even more mad at me. Larry rode with Martin and Greg rode with me. When we got to the spot, I could tell Larry was pissed at me, but he still performed with us. It was one of our best shows. We killed it. Since we did well, I thought the beef was squashed and all was forgiven. But when we went outside after we left the crowd, Larry announced that he was quitting the group. He told Greg and me to continue with the regulators, but he was not feeling the vibe anymore. It was over. It was over something bigger than beer. Larry quitting the group stunned me, and although Greg was my man, I knew the regulators could not go on without him. He was the one that pushed me to keep rhyming and was sort of the unofficial leader of the group. He picked out our clothes, he made the hooks, and I just did not think that I could continue without him. Plus, he was my friend, the one that was still with Shock and I from the beginning. Although I wanted to, it was just not in me to quit. So Greg and I started thinking of Plan B on the way back home. Greg did not want this to be over yet. Later that night, a bunch of 40s later, we got a 911 page from Larry's house. His father had just passed away. He wanted us to come over and be with him. Mr. Hayes was a good man with a hell of a sense of humor, just like my grandfather. After leaving Larry, I was on my way to the hospital to see my grandfather when my family told me that he died the night before. After the funerals were all cool. After the funerals, we were all cool, but we still did not get back together. Greg wanted him and I to get back into the studio, but Shock did not want to record just the two of us as the regulars. He felt that Greg did not write enough, and he knew the group would not work out without Larry. Greg had a mean freestyle and was a real good dude, but needed more than that to make the group thing work, so we all decided to work on solo projects. That did not work either because it was so hard to come up with 3 hot verses. I could not come up with hot hooks, and Larry had hooks but no verses, and I don't think Greg wrote anything. Soon after the solo attempts failed, we decided to have a meeting at Shock's house. We decided to let him mediate for us as we all got our issues out in the open to see if we could come up with a solution to our problem. We all expressed our gripes, and Shock added his opinions and suggestions. Then Greg came out and said that he would be the one to step down. He felt that he was the reason the group wasn't clicking. It was sad to see him go, but we didn't disagree with him. As soon as he said that, it was like Larry and I couldn't wait to put our things back together. We did not hesitate to procrastinate. We got back on the grind. We decided to make it work to honor Jabez Austin, David Justice, and Arthur Hayes. Shock had almost lost his grandfather around the time that my grandfather died and Larry's grandfather died. We felt that those great men were in heaven with God watching over us. All right, guys, we're gonna give it right there. We're gonna give it right there, and then we're gonna come back Thursday. I might come a little early so we can kind of like get through more of the book before he Supreem comes in. I don't know. The voice. Yeah, the voice. My voice? But anyway, I missed that part. Hey, Bree. What's going on? So, guys, we're going to get back. What's up, Twist? How are you? Thank you. Twist our rocks. Yeah, we're reading Preem's book, you know. So, it's what's up. It's what's up. I read almost half of the book. We're going to continue it on Thursday. Yeah, Manuel Glenn is known that. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he is known as the voice on the radio. Listen, we be doing some stuff. We be doing some stuff. When you get in the studio, you're gonna come and you're gonna see all the people that I met. I got pictures everywhere. I don't know if I have a picture of me and you up here, but I do have a picture of me and Manuel Glenn up here somewhere. I don't know. On that side, I think. But I love this book. I'm enjoying this book. Twist is enjoying this book. We are really enjoying this book, and your story is great. I mean, we're gonna have a great talk when you get in here, Preem. Like, this is crazy, and I can't wait to hang out with you again. We hang out I hang out at Preem's distribution and stuff. Preem's always showing up at places that I show up at, to support. And I consider Preem family, period. So, twist you too. Yeah, I know, almost halfway through. I wanted to go further, but if I go over this 2 hours, on this thing, it's not gonna be able to recap it, to repost it. So I'm gonna end it now. We got to go. All right. I love you guys. I'm trying to keep this 2 hours. That's right. He fucked up. We're gonna talk about